Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell y'all about a company called JAVY. JAVY is a coffee company that sells concentrated coffee. They offer a variety of flavors and are friendly on the wallet. Each bottle contains 30 servings of coffee. That's 60 cents per cup. You can drink JAVY either hot or cold. All you have to do is add a couple teaspoons to the liquid of your choice. I like that it's so simple to use and for its amazing flavor. I hope that you will give this coffee a try, and if you are considering it, I have a link in my description box that will give you 20% off your purchase. And I want to say a big thank you to JAVY for reaching out. Well, hey sisters, welcome back to another episode of Blemished. All right, so today's episode, I wanted to talk about something that sparked from a post that I saw on Instagram. So the post read something along the lines of, wives, y'all don't have to hug somebody outside of your husband. A handshake will do, just fine. And it got me thinking. And of course, the point of this series is to bring glory to God and to allow people to see just how, blemished I am, but we do serve an unblemished God, and He is good and He is faithful, but we aren't. And I wanted to kind of talk about previous, my salvation and how, I didn't value marriage like I do now. And I didn't understand marriage the way I do now and just how I see it. And it's crazy because a few years ago, had you told me that I was going to be talking about this, I would have thought you were literally nuts, because I was not the type of person to uplift marriage. I was honestly not necessarily against it. I had this picture as a young girl, and I think we all do, of this, perfect life, marriage and kids and the white picket fence and all of these things. But I didn't understand how that was actually achieved, because I did see the world around me and I saw how the world operated. And I was just men are cheaters, men are this, I had this perspective of men, and I also myself didn't care about me. Meaning I didn't have respect for myself. I didn't care. I wanted what I wanted, and I didn't care how to get it. I didn't care who I was going to hurt along the way. And man, thank the Lord that He forgave me for all of that. But I'm sure that even that baggage has hurt other people. I don't know how many people I've probably hurt along the way, or that have hurt me, and so you don't really necessarily realize when you're lost, how far your actions can have consequences. But that being said, so I come from a perspective of two sides of the coin. So I've been cheated on, but I've also been the cheater. And so I feel like I have something that I can bring to this, and the reasons why, I have boundaries now in my marriage, and the reasons why I act the way I do is because of my past life, because of the way I operated. And so, the word tells us to renew our mind, to not be conformed to the ways of the world, but to be transformed. And, as Christians, I think there's a lot of things that we want to compromise on, and we want to tread the lines on because of convenience, of we're rebellious at heart. And so we don't want to do the things of the Lord. We don't desire righteousness all of the time. And when it comes to marriage and boundaries and stuff like that, I think we think, well, we can handle it. We can do these things. Grace grace is enough, which grace is enough, but we do have to put in work and we do have to put in boundaries. It's no different than when I'm wanting to eat healthy. I'm not going to go in there in my fridge and keep like sodas and sugary foods and just things that are not healthy. I'm not going to put those things in front of me when I'm trying to live a different lifestyle, because then that forms a temptation that allows me to, that makes me want these things. I know personally for me, I don't have self-control. Like those are things that I have to work on, and those are things where I have to be disciplined in. You put a box of honey buns in front of me, they're done. Like they're done. Also, if you are going to eat honey buns, definitely eat the ones in the smaller box. The ones in the big box, they're not good. So if I can realize that I need boundaries in those types of things, so much more do I need boundaries in marriage, especially when the enemy wants to come against marriage. Like it is a holy matrimony. It is covenant between you, the Lord, and your husband. And so he's going to fight his way in there, and he's going to do things, and he's going to, put you in a position to where you're thinking like, oh, my husband doesn't do this and these things and all of this. So back to what I was saying, previous in my past life, I didn't value marriage. I didn't consider like the actions and the consequences of my sin because I was lost. But also, I just had this perspective of marriage that it was this, like, it wasn't necessarily monogamous. It was something that you could get out of. It was something that, I didn't see it as a covenant. Like, I didn't understand that part of it. I saw it as you get with this person when they don't make you happy anymore. Not like all, like, that wasn't necessarily my full process. Like, I didn't go like a child, like, oh, that's, I wasn't that naive. But what I'm saying is those were like, that was the train of thought, basically. And I thought, well, when somebody doesn't make you happy, you get the heck out of there. And maybe that was because of the way that I grew up. I did, kind of bounce from home to home. So maybe that had a lot to do with it. I never wanted anyone to get too close to me. I was insecure in that way. And, I would always put a wall up. So I was the type of person that, no, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to hurt you before you can ever hurt me. And I was okay with that. I settled on that. And I would be like, no, that person didn't hurt me because, that doesn't matter. They weren't valuable to me. But in reality, of course, I got hurt along the way. Of course, there were things that hurt me. And I'm sure that, again, I hurt other people because of this way of thinking. But yeah, I did. I would put up walls and I would be like, well, this person's no longer valuable to me. This person's no longer bringing me joy. So gotta go. And that is like legit the opposite of what marriage is. Marriage is you putting in the work. Marriage is sacrifice. Marriage is heartbreak and agony and all of the things. But it also is what you make it. There's never going to be like the grass is greener on the other side. I think that I always thought that. I was like, well, if I get with this guy, things will be better. If this relationship works out, then things will be better. And the truth and the reality is that we're all fallen and broken and sinful people. And so eventually all of these great qualities that you see, there's going to be something that's going to be disappointing to you because we are we disappoint each other. Like, that is the reality. We're human. We're disappointing because we're not perfect. And so there's always going to be an unmet expectation, and there's always going to be that thing that's going to like draw you away and go, oh, like, did I make the wrong decision? Are these things that's something that I can live with the rest of my life, you know, all of these things. That's why I think now my advice, especially to my children, is get to know somebody, like see how they actually operate in their day-to-day life, and, you know, see how they operate when they're upset about a situation and all of these things. Because don't get me wrong, there are people out there that it's like, oh, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that person needs a lot more work. But as an overall, you know, it's for better or worse. It's not for when he no longer brings me joy or happiness or does what I want him to do. Because at the end of the day, it's not like I'm perfect. And it's not like I'm doing all the right things for my husband. There are things that he has to deal with and live with and grow patience in towards me. And so that much more, I need to do that for him. And when we become a Christian, you know, when you become a Christian, when you're saved, the Lord is going to start working out those things and those qualities that do not bring him glory, that do not reflect his son. And it's not an easy process, but it is definitely worth it. I love that the Lord disciplines those that he loves. But anyways, so the train of thought behind all of this was, I was thinking, like, I mean, is it okay? Like, is it okay for men and women to be friends? And my husband and I have had these conversations before, and ultimately we in our own convictions decided that I don't think that it is possible. Don't get me wrong. I think there are exceptions to the rule. I think there are things that can possibly work out, but I do think that there still needs to be boundaries in place so that lines don't get crossed or blurred or, you know, whatever. So some of the ways that I don't cross these boundaries, because I know who I am and I know where I came from, and that's something else. I think that we as people and as women, we really need to sit down with ourselves and have those heart-to-heart conversations, because I can tell myself all day long, like, no, I can handle this, but the Lord has shown me over and over that I can't, and that if I'm not operating in his ways, that whatever choices that I make are gonna come up empty, and they're gonna come up not good. Like, it's gonna be bad for me, because I'm leaning on my understanding of what I think I'm capable of, and instead of his understanding of me and what he knows I'm capable of. And so sometimes I have to ask myself that, like, what am I capable of? Because I remember my husband and I having this conversation of, like, I don't think I'm capable of cheating. But then he was like we were talking about it, and he was like, I think everybody still has that capability. Now, I think there's a point where you don't desire to do those things, and so you set boundaries and you put things in place so that those temptations don't overcome you. But ultimately, we're all capable of doing something. We're all capable of murder. We're all capable of cheating, stealing, you know, whatever it is. Like, we're all capable of these things. And for us to be naive and think that we're not, then we need to go through the scriptures and look, because I'm sure every single person that is in biblical times up until now was thinking that same thing. Like, oh, I'm good. I can handle this. Now, don't get me wrong. Sanctification and all of that and self-control does come with more time in the Word and more time with the Lord. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, I think we are still capable of doing these things. But some of the boundaries that I like to put in place, or some of the things that I have a thought process in, is I know who I was. So that's number one. I'm already stating the fact that I know who I was and I know what I'm capable of doing. Now, in order to stay off of that track, that mind track, and also, I was the type of person who sought out attention in the way I dressed, in the way I just presented myself. My mouth was so vulgar, and that is because I thought that's what guys wanted. You know what I mean? Like, not just that, but I'm kind of, I kind of use humor sometimes to deflect, or just in general, like, I like to make people laugh, like, outside of being, an insecurity. I like to make people laugh. I think it's, such a joy to see someone laugh and to just be lighthearted. So a lot of times I would just say things to catch men off guard, like, whoa. And I wanted to be like this ultimate, like, cool chick. Like, I'm cool. Like, I don't, I'm not the normal, which honestly, I don't think I'm necessarily the normal woman, because, like, there's a lot of qualities that I'm like, I feel like I'm a dude sometimes. Like, not literally, like, I'm not, don't hear me say that. But what I'm saying is, like, my brain is sometimes, like, I can compartmentalize. And that's something that I feel like men can do. When I'm focused on one thing, I can focus on one thing. I also have the other side of that too, though, where I can, like, be all over the place and have 50 million things on my mind. But like I said, I wanted to be this cool chick. I wanted to be like, oh, I'm down with all of that. And I had this persona about me, and I wanted guys to look at me in a certain way. And so I seeked out attention from men, especially when I knew that sex was something that you could use as a tool. I saw early on that sex sells, and I'm not even saying like money wise, I'm saying like just the desire. Like, I saw that, and it was something that was undeniable, that you present yourself in a certain kind of way and men responded. So that being said, now I don't present myself in a certain kind of way. Like, if you are, if I go to the store, let's say I'm at the grocery store, I'm not going to look in a direction of another man. I'm not, gonna, and that's not in any way like, I was told to act like this or anything like that. Like, my husband's not like behind me going like, you better not look at any other man. That's just my personal conviction that I don't even like acknowledge, I guess. I wouldn't say look at another man, because, like, of course you're walking around the grocery store, you're looking at things, but I don't acknowledge, or I don't like continuously make eye contact with someone, or, another man, because I don't ever want them to like feel comfortable enough, I guess, to walk up to me and say anything, to, maybe whatever, like hit on me or anything like that. I don't ever want to put myself in a position to where they don't recognize that I'm married. Like, I want to conduct myself, even in silence, I want to conduct myself as a married woman. Another thing too is, let's say you're married, and you're my friend. I'm never going to be like in a place or a position where I'm alone with your husband, or, like, there are some cases where it's just, you can't help it. Like, let's say I'm at their house, and, we're all sitting down having a conversation, and their husband, or they go to the restroom or something like that. Those little times can't be helped. But for the most part, like, you're not going to catch me talking to your husband one-on-one without your knowledge, without my husband's knowledge, things like that. I'm not going to be alone. I'm not going to be in a position where we would have alone time, because there's literally, to me, there's no reason for me to be talking to another woman's husband alone. Like, I don't know what reason would justify that, I guess. I mean, maybe a surprise party. I don't know. But even then, like, I think that we could still be like in a group text with somebody else, or, somebody else might have knowledge of these things. But outside of that, like, I don't really understand what would be the reasoning. The Bible tells us that we can go to our husbands, and that we are to go to them first. And so, like, even in ministry, I just feel that, yes, your pastor is there for you, and maybe y'all are in premarital counseling, maybe y'all are just in counseling, and your pastor is leading that. Well, here's the thing. I think that's where communication comes in. So if there was ever a reason for you to be alone with your pastor, maybe he wants to talk to you one-on-one. Maybe y'all can't work something out, you and your husband. I still feel like, though, that there should be another person present, whether that's a woman, whether that's his wife, something, so that there is boundaries in place, so that there can never be an opportunity for someone to accuse y'all of something. You know, I want to live a life that is without reproach. Like, I want to live a life of integrity, that even if somebody accused me of something, they would have to go pretty far in order to prove these things, because I want to live in such a way that you can't, that no one would have, no one would have the audacity to even accuse me of these things, because I'm conducting myself in such a way that doesn't give them an opportunity. And so I let my friends know up front. I'll tell them, like, hey, I don't feel comfortable, texting without your knowledge, or whatever it might be, if I need to. The list goes on, but these are just convictions of mine that I hold true to, and my husband and I both. He and I will be in open communication. Like, if he talks to somebody, or whatever, a woman, he'll come up to me and be like, hey, I saw so and so today, or this woman was talking to me about this. And like, we have that open communication to where we can tell each other things like that, because we don't want to ever leave room, an opportunity for the enemy to come in and just distort a situation and cause an uproar in our marriage. So in my previous life, one of the areas where I would step out of bounds was talking to the opposite sex and engaging in text messages. And, I honestly was having emotional affairs before I was actually doing physical affairs. And I think that's something that we don't like to admit, but sometimes we will start talking to somebody, and it will start off as, well, they're just a great listener. They actually listen to what I have to say, and my husband doesn't listen the way he does. And before you know it, you are starting to have all these internal thoughts going on. You're starting to compromise. You're starting to, have these like fantasies and all of these things. You're starting to think about, like, oh, is there a possibility? Is there a chance that I could be happy outside of my marriage now? And that's just a lie from the enemy. That person too, like I said, has flaws, has issues, just like anybody else. And yes, this person is able to listen to you and talk to you and give you advice and all of these things. But if they truly respected your marriage and you as a person, they would say, like, and especially if they're a Christian, they would say, whoa, hold up. Like, I don't think this is an appropriate relationship for us to have. And if you do want to have a conversation or something, my wife would be, would be there in a heartbeat for you and all of these things. But there's no reason that I, as a woman, need to go to another man, especially another woman's husband, and have a deep conversation if I cannot have those conversations with my husband. At the end of the day, I have the Lord. I can go to the Lord with my personal deep afflictions and things that bother me, and especially things that bother me about my husband. Also, sometimes we as women nag. And so we want to push a situation. Well, he doesn't listen to this, and I've told him over and over and over and over how I feel. Okay. Yes, but maybe this scenario, maybe this situation is something that the Lord has not convicted your husband of, first off. Second off, maybe it's because you are nagging, and sometimes we just need to be silent, and we need to give it to the Lord, and we need to just let him handle it, and he will handle it. Now, it's not going to be on our timing. It might not be quick. It might not be fast, but it is going to happen because the Lord is good and he works all things out for our good. And so even that, maybe it's something that the Lord is telling you to work in. And maybe it's an area where he's saying, look, if you'll just trust me with this, I will carry it out for you. But you're focused on him and you're not focused on yourself, because that's where I was. I was the same way. I was so focused on my husband and all the things that he was doing wrong, when in reality, the Lord was trying to tell me, like, you're not looking at yourself. You're looking at the log in your brother's eye, or the speck in your brother's eye, and you're not looking at the log in yours. So I think we get in these emotional, like, things, and we start thinking like, oh, my husband's not listening and all of that. But in reality, I think the Lord is just trying to tell us to bring it to him, because we are to surrender all things to him. There are just so many areas where I just have boundaries because I don't trust myself. I don't trust this sinful nature. And I think that if we will really consider that, I think that we can prevent a lot of things, because I've heard so many times like, how did that even happen? I think it happens because we don't put boundaries in place. We don't actually look to our own hearts and see that they are exceedingly wicked, that we have the capability of doing evil. We look at ourselves and go, oh, I'm a good person and I would never do that to somebody else. I would never act like that. But I truly believe that the Lord has kept me, as sheltered me from certain things, myself in particularly. But I don't think that I could have done any of these things on my own strength. I know the person that I was. I know the person that I was capable of being, and it's not anything that I'm proud of. It's something that I still reflect on and look back at and go, wow, like, I can't believe that's who I used to be. But thank God for Jesus. Thank God that he is a redeemer and he is a restorer, and he can renew and fix anything. And I will boast in him. I will boast in the Lord in my weaknesses, because I know that this is not of any strength of my own. Before I end today's episode, I want to tell y'all again, don't forget to check out the link in my description box. Do yourself a flavor and go and try JAVY coffee. All right, y'all, I will see y'all in the next video. And until next time, God bless y'all, and go and be a light out there.